The clock on the wall ticked softly, each second a reminder of how long silence had lived in my house. My name is Hory. As I sat on the edge of my bed, my hands resting on a folded piece of cloth, a tiny baby dress I had bought more than 22 years ago, back when I still had hope. At 22, I married my husband, Henry. The world seemed bright. We were inseparable, full of plans. He called me, my forever. I called him my anchor. But forever had an expiration date. The first year passed without a child. Then the second, and third. We visited doctors, healers, prayer houses. Nothing worked. By the 10th year, whispers in the family grew louder. By the 15th, I stopped attending family gatherings. Too many questions, too many pitying stares. Still, I clung to Henry. I believed love would sustain us. But by the 27th year of our marriage, something inside Henry shifted. I can't continue with this, Hory, he said one night, his suitcase already packed. I need children. I need someone to carry my name. Love. Love isn't enough anymore. My hands trembled as I tried to stop him from leaving. Tears welled in my eyes. Henry, please, don't leave me. Don't let this be the end. But it was. Henry walked out, leaving me in a house that felt colder than death. Now, at 49, I live alone. My hair carried streaks of grey. My eyes, once bright with laughter, had learned the heaviness of tears. On the other hand, life was different as Jonas and Teg were the kind of couple who drew attention everywhere they went. They lived adjacent to me. Jonas loved expensive suits and luxurious cars. Teg loved diamonds, designer gowns, and nightlife. They called themselves the swag couple. They had sworn never to be tied down by children. But life has a way of surprising us when we least expected. Despite her protests, Teg became pregnant. With triplets. The triplets were 5 months old when the last nanny quit. It was past midnight. I was about to drift into another restless sleep when the triplets started to cry. It was as if they had an agreement. Their cries were chorused. At first, I thought they would stop. But they grew louder, rawer, as though the babies were clawing at heaven itself. I pressed my pillow against my ears. It didn't work. The sound pierced through me like a knife. I sat up, my chest rising and falling rapidly. God, please, I muttered. Why give them children they don't want? And leave me barren? The cries continued. 2 hours. 3. Finally, I could no longer take it. I wrapped a shawl around me and hurried next door, my heart pounding as I pressed Jonas and Teg's doorbell. The door opened after a long pause. Teg stood there, draped in silk pajamas, her hair styled as though she were about to attend a party, not soothe crying babies. She looked at me with mild irritation. Yes. What is it? Teg asked sharply. I swallowed hard. I heard the babies crying. 4 hours. I wanted to check if everything is all right. I said. Teg sighed dramatically, rolling her eyes. They cry all the time. I locked them in the spare room so I could sleep. Honestly, children are nothing but noise. My eyes widened. You locked them? I asked in a shaky voice. Of course, Teg said, as though it were the most natural thing in the world. What else am I supposed to do? I can't lose my mind over them. My voice trembled. If you want, I can help. I can take care of them for you, I said. Teg raised a perfectly arched brow. Really? You actually want to? I nodded desperately and replied, yes. Please. Teg laughed coldly, then shrugged. Then scrutinized me as if I was nothing. Fine. If you're that desperate, take them. In fact, keep them forever if you like. You'll be doing me a huge favor. At least, I will be relieved and start living again," she said jokingly, but I didn't laugh. I stepped past Teg, my feet carrying me as though destiny had taken hold. When I entered the spare room and saw the triplets, tiny, red-faced, their fists clenched in fury, my heart broke into pieces and healed all at once. I scooped them into my arms, whispering, "Shush, Mama's here. Mama's here now." I paused, I stared at them as they cried, and I remembered the tiny dress I bought years ago. I smiled faintly. That night, I took Eli, Alicia, and Eliana to my apartment. For the first time in 27 years, my home wasn't silent. It rang with cries, and I welcomed every sound, loved every moment. The days that followed were a whirlwind. I barely slept, but I didn't care. I fed the triplets with bottles I bought from the pharmacy, bathed them in warm water, wrapped them in soft towels, and sang lullabies I remembered from my own childhood. Each of the triplets' cries were answered with patience. Each laugh was treasured like gold. I transformed my spare room into a nursery, filling it with bright colors, toys, and tiny clothes. My neighbors began to notice how the once quiet abandoned woman now smiled as I walked the street, pushing a stroller with 3 giggling babies inside. Teg and Jonas never asked. If anything, they seemed relieved. Free to travel, free to party, free to live their lives as though Eli, Alicia, and Eliana didn't exist. Months turned to years. Eli, Alicia, and Eliana grew strong under my care. On their 2nd birthday, Alicia looked up at me with wide eyes and called me, "Mama." I fell to my knees and wept. He was the first to talk, "Mama, Mama." "Thank you, Lord," I muttered, "for giving me a second chance." I poured my entire soul into them. They became my everything. But destiny has a way of testing the things we love most.
Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed telling it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. Don't miss our next adventure.